In this episode of the Fantastic Mr. Podcast, your three hosts, Jerome, Kramer, Zack Bridges, and Justin Strange, talk about just what is a Jellicle cat? Why do some of them run around naked? And what is the size reference for this entire film? It makes no sense. We're talking about cats.
Unfortunately.
I was excited for the film. I've never seen it. So
you've seen it? Okay. Right off the bat, quick thoughts. What did you think?
I'm pretty sure you called Zack Bridge, but other than that,
no.
But other than that, the movie was very blah for me. Like the music was okay, but I didn't. Just the movie itself, there's a lot of issues I saw. The story was kind of confusing to me. At first, it kind of got a little better towards the end, but not enough to like redeem it or anything.
Okay, Zach.
I thought it was visually stimulating, but the story kind of was weak. I think the absence of moments of dialogue that was not singing kind of was a bummer for me because, again, I don't watch many musical movies. I've watched Sound of Music. I enjoy that movie. But there's
a great movie.
That's one of probably the first musical I have seen, if you want to call it that. But that movie had a lot more of a narrative. The story was more interesting to me during the days of
a musical
World
about
War
like
II.
Nazis and escape, of course.
Yeah, but Cats a bit different. I know I was reading. It started out as a Broadway musical. One of the photographers I work with, I told him we're going to have a podcast about Cats, and he's from New York, used to work at one of the stations there and in the city. And he remembers he saw Cats at Broadway. And
he saw it live.
Live. He wasn't a big fan of the live performance. I don't know if he's seen the movie, but I guess his kids enjoy the movie from 2019. But again, there are a lot of the big names, Judi Dench, Ian McKellen, Idris Elba playing the villain.
Lots of big names. Dude, that was one of the questions.
It's a surprise.
I guess I'll just jump right into it. One of the questions like, how did they sell this film to because there's a lot of big names. There's Judi Dench, James Corden, Rebel Wilson, Idris Elba, Jennifer Hudson, Ian McKellen, Jason Derulo, Taylor Swift. There's so many huge names, household
Hudson.
Recognizable names in this film, and like they're all just like slinking around, rubbing on each other, drinking milk from bowls. It is repulsive to even watch, and yet they somehow got all these amazing actors to run around and just be creepy for like an hour and a half.
You were repulsed, you said.
Yeah. It's one of those, I don't know how to describe it. There's like this love-hate relationship I have with this movie because on the one hand, it's so difficult to watch. Like it's just like it gives you the ick, right? But on the second hand, it's like watching a train wreck in slow motion. And it's just like you cannot look away from what's happening because it's just like so absurd and ridiculous.
It definitely has the vibes, theatrical vibes of a musical. If you ever have seen one, either on TV, YouTube, or live performance, it has the over-exaggerated or exaggerated feel about it. Like the expressions of everyone are over the top, and the choreography is just so in sync. And I don't know, seeing the cats and their designs, it was reaching the uncanny valley, which again, most of the time I don't care about that, but there's something strange and off-putting about the faces melded into the cat bodies, and yet they have a human nose.
They have human hands.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have human hands. They could have added some fur to those freaking hands. I get that they're trying to emulate the musical, which are a bunch of humans dressed up like cats that can walk on two legs. Great. Everything else about them looked fine. Like like their faces, like their bodies. It's just the hands. The hands is the only thing I was looking at. And I was like, why couldn't they given them claws or given them fur on the hands or something?
There's one scene
like,
with Judi Dench like sitting in a basket watching Ian McKellen on stage. And she's just like lounging there, and she's like really furry in this film. And then just like two bare hands just like stick out of the fur. I have questions upon questions upon questions. And the more I think about this film and the more I dig into the questions, the more questions like occur. Like, for instance, some of them wear clothes, right? And then some of them are naked. Or at least I assume that that's nudity, right? They're cats. But then at one point, Rebel Wilson is like nude. She's just like fur. And then she strips off her skin and there's clothes underneath. She degloved her body to reveal an outfit. And I'm just like, what the?
She has lots of layers.
But like some of them wear shoes, some of them go without. At one point, Idris Elba, who had been wearing clothes, like
didn't have clothes on.
Didn't have clothes. He just shows up naked. And it's very obvious that he's supposed to be naked because the fur color is the same tone as his skin color. So this is literally just like a glossy Idris Elba just like gyrating around in this film at one point. You know what? I don't think I even explained what the synopsis of this film is.
Not yet.
Okay, I'm going to do that real quick before I forget. The synopsis of this film begins with a little cat being dropped off in a sack to die. She's then rescued by a tribe of cats called the Jellicles, and there's lots of cats in this tribe. There's magic cats, fat cats. Yeah, some cats have superpowers, by the way. Finicky cats, old cats, poor cats. And she just happens to arrive on this night of the Jellicle Ball, which is an event that they have every year where they all vie for one thing: the sweet relief of death. That's what this movie's about. It's a bunch of cats all vying to die so they can start over.
Is it kind of allegorical to a degree? I mean, the afterlife, being chosen to be reincarnated in a way. I don't know. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but that's what I was kind of understanding to a degree.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. If you have that particular religious bent, you know, you could see that as an allegory for being chosen by your savior, or being, you know, brought into the fold, because a through line of that film as well was that Victoria, who was actually played by a first timer named Francesca Hayward. She's a dancer, and this was her first film role. And by far, I think she was actually one of the standouts for me. And she was just fantastic. She was one of the only cats that didn't come off just utterly creepy throughout the entire film. You know, she was pretty. I was with her pretty much throughout the whole film. But she's not a Jellicle cat, and so a through line of this film is that she's also vying to become a Jellicle cat by listening to all their stories and being incorporated in their society as they go through their ritual of trying to get the F out of there.
Interesting.
What, Justin, did you end up watching? Because when we talked about doing this episode, you mentioned that you were going to try to watch the Broadway show as well. Did you end up doing that?
No. And I kind of wish I would have, because I read that Andrew Lloyd Webber wrote 2 songs specifically for the movie. And I was like, dang, I really kind of, because, you know, I was putting off watching this movie as long as I could. And I finally watched it last night, and I didn't have time
late at night.
Yeah. Sit down. Yeah. It was late. I probably watched it from about 10 o'clock to like almost 1. Cause there was a point where, so this thing I do, quick tangent. This thing I do, if I start falling asleep during a movie, I'll just pause the movie, take like a power nap, and then get back up.
Oh, I do that too. Yeah.
And so I had to do that to watch Lord of the Rings. It can be a great movie. I'll still fall asleep. So I'll just pause it, lay down 5-10 minutes, wake up, finish the movie. I had to do that with Cats, but man, I was fighting to get up. I was like, you know, I could just finish this tomorrow. But then I finally was like, no.
We're good.
I need to finish it tonight. And so that's enough, because yesterday I was I went to a friend's house and watched a movie with them, and then came home and watched this movie.
What movie did you watch at your friend's?
The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Great film.
Yeah, so much better than Cats. So yeah, I got home and I had looked at it because there's that app Broadway HD where you can it's like a streaming app where you can watch Broadway plays.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, and I looked at it and I was like, and you can get a 7-day trial. I was like, I could use that just to watch Cats, but then I was like, you know what? I don't want, I don't need or want to watch this play. Like I already have to watch the movie. Like maybe another time I'll watch the play because it had come to Little Rock at one point, and so I was like, it'll come back, I'm sure. So maybe I'll see it then. And so I just didn't. So I know that's a long road to the answer. No, I did not watch the play, but I had to explain everything.
That's fine.
So yeah,
I was just curious because I haven't had the chance to see the play. Honestly, I'm not sure if I would even want to see the play.
Well, I think live performance. I mean, sitting down. If we're talking sitting down at a theater, I mean that's totally different. Remember, you Justin? Remember, it was you and I and
Margaritaville.
Yeah, we saw that, and that's all the people from our station but they left or something.
Yeah. Okay. That's they left. Yeah, they did leave. That's a whole other thing.
That's fun. That's an experience. In my opinion,
we went to see Margaritaville, and the story was actually not bad. It was the music I didn't care for.
Me neither. Yeah, it's that exaggerate music.
No, what is this? It's the Jimmy Buffett's play, and so it was all his music, and it was okay, but I liked the story a little better. So yeah, live performance, I probably would have been like, heck yeah, let's go see Cats. You get
to appreciate the costumes, you get to appreciate the sets.
I mean, yeah. I love me some theater, even at Murray's Dinner Playhouse, which for people who don't live in Arkansas, a small theater in Little Rock where they serve kind of crappy food, but
it's buffet style.
They have pretty good shows, and so it's very and so it's buffet style, and so you go through and you get your food and you sit down and you watch the play. And the last play I went to there was a let me see if I can explain this. It was a radio show of It's a Wonderful Life. So basically,
wonderful.
It was like we were sitting inside of a studio and they were doing It's a Wonderful Life for the radio. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it was really cool. That was really cool. So yeah, if someone was like, "Hey, I got tickets to see Cats. You want to go?" I'd be like, "Heck yeah, let's go see Cats." But the movie didn't really do much for me.
It was overwhelming, very overwhelming, I'd say.
Well, like you said, Zach, the visuals looked great. I thought the CGI. I know that at first, when it first released, the CGI was a big problem because I read that 2 days after the movie released, the studio, whoever made the movie, said they would go back and redo some of the CGI.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm assuming that the version I watched on Amazon was the newest one.
Yes.
Okay. And so the CGI looked pretty good. There were some spots I noticed, they could have fixed, but
did you know at one point there was a butthole cut?
No.
There is a cut somewhere in the archives where all the cats have anatomically correct buttholes.
I mean, it's anatomically correct, but do we want to see that on screen? I don't think so. I don't even want to see.
We saw James Corden stripping off his regal wear, and we don't see any genitalia dangling around.
Yeah, no.
Thankfully.
But at one point, they had a cut with the buttholes in there.
It's like that episode.
Who gave the green light for that? It's a PG rated movie too.
That is my question for this entire film. This entire film can be summed up with who approved that, because there's
some troll.
So much weird stuff in this.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like you said, anatomically correct. When a cat walks around, we see its butthole, but that doesn't mean I want to see it because these aren't cats; these are people.
I demand the butthole cut.
You should start a hashtag butthole cut of cats.
Release the butthole cut.
Release the butthole cut. Oh my god, that would be so funny if it worked. It won't work, but if
I would love it.
They're like,
all right, we'll put it in theaters again. This was the last movie I saw before the pandemic shut down. We saw it December.
Man, I'm so sorry.
December 2019, then I didn't get a chance to see another movie before everything shut down. And so for like 2 years, this was the only movie this was the last movie I saw. And I almost considered just not watching anything else because for some reason, I almost held that as like a badge of pride. Like the last movie I saw was Cats. And I dragged my wife to it and I dragged my friend to it. And it was a complete troll on my part. I just wanted to watch them cringe through the entire film.
Kind of like you're made us do.
Yeah. Exactly.
You're like, in the name of the podcast,
and at the time,
I demand you to watch Cats.
In reality, I just want to make you suffer.
At the time, I'm sure you probably didn't realize at the time that would be your last movie in theaters.
No, I didn't.
Pandemic and COVID, that really didn't become news until like December or January.
Yeah.
You want to know what my last movie in theaters was before the pandemic?
What was that?
Which one was it?
This is an audio podcast. Our audience can't see.
Actually, it wasn't Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was Sonic the Hedgehog. But I had this on hand, so it was Sonic the Hedgehog. And then the first movie out of the pandemic was The New Mutants.
Oh,
I know that's not what we're talking about. But me and Mandy went and saw the New Mutants. It was pretty cool. So anyway, back to Cats.
Yeah, back to Cats. So what were you going to say, Justin?
Nothing. Go ahead.
So this movie's been criticized for not really having a plot.
It's there.
The movie, the play, they've both been criticized for not really having a plot.
I was about to ask about that.
Okay. Yeah, Lloyd Webber wrote the play. Webber. I'm sorry?
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Mr. Webber
okay.
decided to adapt a book of poems about cats.
Right.
And he wanted to make a musical that used pre-existing lyrics. And so he just wanted to provide like a musical score to a pre-existing set of lyrics and try to turn that into a narrative piece. So both the play and the film are essentially just meeting these different cats, and they just tell about themselves. That's what the film was about. And they all
through song.
Dance.
Through song.
Yeah, through song and dance.
The dancing, I thought the dancing was actually not bad. And some of the songs were good. The cool thing about this movie, it was directed by Tom Hooper, who directed Les Miserables. And if you know anything about Les Miserables, the movie, they sang live on set. Yeah. And so they did the same thing on this movie, which I thought actually that's a pretty sweet thing to do. Like, the singers they're probably doing multiple takes of it, but they're doing it on the set and not going into and lip syncing to a track. So I thought that was kind of neat. And like the music and the dancing, I thought were okay. It was the story and, some of the characters and just like Rebel Wilson, like what the heck was she doing in that movie? And
especially at the end.
Yeah. Now Idris Elba, I thought was a strange choice, but I thought for what he did a great job. Like the actors were some of the actors were great. Like you said, Jake, like they had a lot of great actors in this movie, big actors. And they probably said, and answer your question, like, how did they get them all together? For one thing, money. Two, they probably were like, hey, Cats the movie. Oh, okay. Cats the movie. I'll do it. Well,
that was what's surprising to me is like, there's so much uncomfortableness in this film. Just like watching these actors do some of the things they did, like made me uncomfortable. But every single one of them plays it completely seriously.
Oh yeah, I agree. And even like the neck nuzzling that cats normally do. Yeah, I'm like, all right, you guys are clearly like a human hybrid of cat. Why can't you just kiss each other? Like, I don't understand. Like, why can't you just kiss each other? But whatever. I didn't write the play. I didn't write the movie. But yeah, that was the one thing that kind of stuck out to me too, was besides the hands was the nuzzling of the faces and necks. I thought that was kind of weird. But
I was wondering where the humans are in London. Such a ghostly
Well, they're
London.
all asleep. They're all
sleeping because it's nighttime.
Yeah, this was
surely there's no homeless people in the slums of London.
Well, they seem to live kind of an abandoned, like it was kind of like it looked like an abandoned area of town to me.
Yeah, maybe.
With the worn down theater and kind of these closed businesses. And I think, at the very beginning, some of the neon lights, it kind of seemed to portray it was kind of a seedier part of town. I think there was like the rising sun, so there's kind of like a red light district, and there's kind of a pinkish tint throughout the whole film from the neon lights. And I think it might represent kind of like a red district type of area,
Yeah.
Not many people, no self-respecting good fellow would be out at that time of night at that part of town.
Yeah.
The movie starts with someone literally dumping a cat off in a sack. Good people don't go to this area of town, obviously.
Well, you do see a human, but you only see her from like the waist down.
You see her ankles.
I almost said that.
I wanted a face reveal.
That's too bad.
Probably like the lead executive, like the executive producer.
It probably was.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm just making stuff up.
Jake, you were talking about scale earlier. Scaling.
Yeah, it was really hard to get my bearings on the film because it seemed like there was no sense of scale throughout the entire thing. And I understand they're cats, and so everything else is large, but some of the decisions they made just made the world really confusing to watch. Like the set pieces obviously were oversized, but then some of the other things were like there's one scene with Rebel Wilson, and she trains mice and cockroaches to sing and dance. The mice and the cockroaches are the size of mice and cockroaches in comparison to a human, not a cat. So if everything else is blown up to be in comparison of a cat, why are the mice and the cockroaches so small? If they were those sizes in real life, in that comparison to a real life cat, they would be infinitesimal. The mice would be the size of a cockroach, and the cockroach would be like, an ant. It would be a speck.
Yeah.
So stuff like that just didn't make any sense to me. Some of the set pieces, it didn't seem like Victoria at one point wears these ginormous baubles and earrings, and they're like half the size of her head. And it's like, okay, those are earrings. Those are human earrings. It's on a cat. It would be larger, but it wouldn't be that large. And why are some things like the rats and if they can make the rats and mice human size in comparison, why can't they do the same thing for earrings and necklaces and things that she wears? They wear clothes like Idris Elba and Jason Derulo and Ian McKellen are all wearing clothes and stuff. Those are human sized. Why are the scarves they wear cat sized, human, in comparison to their human bodies, but these other things that are also the same things, not? It just is just very, very confusing.
Yeah, there was a moment that I noticed when Victoria and that whatever the dude's name that she was into, the part where they were in that bedroom and then with the twins or whatever.
Yeah.
And they left and the other guy came and saved them. And she had it, I can't remember. I think it was around her neck. It was just like a ring around her neck. And I was like, even a cat couldn't do that.
Yeah.
It was either around her neck or it was around her wrist. I can't really remember. I remember
I think it was like a big bauble. It was like a big bracelet or something.
Yeah, it was it was a ring. It was a ring with a huge.
Yeah, but no, she was wearing it like a bracelet.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. She was wearing it like a bracelet, but it was still like, I don't know. It seemed like you're saying, it seemed
like eerily large.
Yeah, than what it should
just
be.
Like imagine the sausages that those babies must have come off of to fit around her arm like that. Like we're talking about like Shrek ogre sized fingies.
Fingies. So if you try to put that ring on an actual cat, it's probably not. If it goes on there, it'll be tight. It'll be a tight fit. This was like she could almost do it like a hula hoop. If she spun her arm around. So yeah, I thought. I guess I didn't really notice it until you said something. But yeah, the scale is kind of like cats to human world is kind of the ratio of scale of cats to human world, if that's a thing. Is like it's kind of off. Like some things are fine and some things are just weird, but it's a movie about a bunch of walking, talking cats and cockroaches sing and dance. And so what are you gonna do?
And they eat them. They eat the rats.
Yeah, she throws one up in the air and eats
cockroaches
it.
And one
the rats
bite.
and the cockroaches are played by children actors. They're the mice.
Weird.
They're eating
Did she egg
children. Like, why did you have
Oh.
children play the mice? There's like every art decision, every direction they took in this film is just like, why? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? It makes my mind race.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that James Corden had a song about him being fat too.
Yep,
Did. Yeah, that was,
he sure did.
it was kind of his introductory song in a way.
Mr. Buster Jones.
That he was just a fat guy, and I was
That's
like,
what he is. That's his life.
And then Rebel Wilson had a lot of cat puns. I noticed she got a lot of the cat puns in the movie,
Especially at the end on the boat.
What did she say? No, you don't know.
I forgot, but it was he was gonna do something to Idris's character. It was when they're all like getting ready to attack or something.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Judi Dench's character. By the way, that boat was big, like compared to the cats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were being held down by like regular chains. They weren't even like oversized chains like you might see on a boat. They were just like regular chains that could fit around my arm and I could just walk around normally. You know, that's what they seemed like. They were just laying down on them too. They were so heavy they couldn't get up. Thought that was kind of funny.
For a good, probably, and the reason I want to talk about this is for like a good 2 or 3 months after watching Cats in theaters, it's all I could think about. And even like the reason I want to have this episode is just so I can vomit all the stuff that I thought about, because there's it like literally like itches the back of my brain about how much is wrong with this. And the fact that I couldn't look away. Like even now, there's still something that just like, I would probably watch it again. It's wild. It's like, I don't know.
It's interesting. It's interesting the way you watch movies. Like I'm good with not ever seeing that movie ever again, you know, but then I can go watch, and sorry, Caroline, The Human Centipede, you know, I could go watch that again and be fine. But like this movie, I'm like, no, I don't care to ever see this movie again. And you're like, I want to watch it again because it's a musical.
No, it's not. I'm not a huge fan of musicals. I enjoy them, but I don't feel one way about them or another. I think it's just the sheer amount of things wrong with this film. It's almost like an art project to me. It's like this weird, absurdist film that I almost don't even recognize as a movie, as more of just like an experience. And maybe it's the fact that I have ADHD, so it's like all the colors, and I can't really predict what's going on because that movie is just so wild.
I think it would be interesting to compare this to the Broadway musical, that like theater performance, just to have a better understanding, perhaps. And I think obviously no excuses. I mean, you need to make a good film, and maybe not all musicals translate well or adapted the way they should be for general moviegoers.
That was another question that I had for you guys. I know for a fact that there are a lot of great musicals that have been turned into movies, and they're fantastic. So I guess A, what is it about this film that you guys think went so horribly wrong? And B, when you make a film or you take a story that was originally on a stage and then you strip it from that environment and put it somewhere else, how do you guys think that affects how it's recepted?
Justin, want to take that one?
Okay, I can try. So I'm trying to think of movies that I've seen. The only thing I can think of are movies that have been turned to plays. I've seen one play that wasn't a movie, and that's Wicked. And thinking about it, I think that Wicked could, and I think they're trying to make it a movie. I think Wicked would be a fine movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great, because the play was really good. I think the problem with Cats, I guess, was they were trying to put too much of the play in the movie with the human cat hybrid. Like I know they couldn't have done it with actual cats, you know, because they needed to sing and dance, but they could have made the dang people look like more like cats. That's really the only issue I have with this is like, and the story. I guess the story is the same as the play, and I really wish I would have watched the play, but I just didn't. I don't know. It seems like they're not trying to make it their own as far as the movie goes. They're just trying to put the play on screen, and I'm like, oh, if you can do that, just watch the play on screen. Why do we need a movie version? Like when I found out this movie was announced, I was like, why the heck are they making a Cats movie? Like, why do we need this movie? And the movie I read was originally supposed to be animated. And I was like, though it looked cool as a live action, I think it would have been better as an animated movie.
It probably would have been better as an animated movie.
Yeah, because, our suspense of disbelief would have been higher for that, because the animated movie's animated, so we can kind of accept anything when it comes to animated movies. But with a live action movie,
I think you're on the right. That makes sense. I think when we see a live action film, we as an audience have certain expectations. Whether people realize it or not, we have an understanding of film. And so when a movie like this comes along that doesn't follow those preconceived conventions, I think it's off-putting.
I agree. I think a lot of the media attention surrounding the movie leading up to the release was negative. It was having solely to do with the look of the cats and I guess what the public believed was poor CGI. So I think that really didn't help the movie in the long run as well. But I think it was animated, like the 2D animation that we grew up with, perhaps, and like the Beauty and the Beast. I wish that we had more of that Lion King type animation, not the more modern animation that they use these days because it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. I think we would have had a different reception in general from audiences. I think it would have been more positively received if it was animated, as Justin said. But again, I still think some of that lack of moments of dialogue, not much room to breathe in between each cat performing their song as part of the competition to hopefully go up into the air and be reborn again. I think that was also a big fault. It was just one massive montage of humanoid cats
cat dancing,
singing and dancing. That's what it really was. I could just basically read a book and another cat's still dancing and singing, and Judi Dench is snuggling with some old man looking cat named Gus.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was another funny thing, is all these cats had these really, crazy names, like Old Deuteronomy and what are the two brother and sisters cats' names? Anyway, they have these. It's hard to remember their names except for the people names like Victoria and Gus.
Grisabella. I've never heard that as
I think
real
those two are the only ones that I don't have. Judi Dench plays Old Deuteronomy. James Corden plays Bustopher Jones. Rebel Wilson is Jenny Any Dots. Idris Elba plays McCavity. Jennifer Hudson is Grisabella. Ian McKellen is Gus, the theatrical cat. That's his full title.
Yeah.
Jason Derulo is Rum Tug Tugger, which sounds like a euphemism. Taylor Swift is Bombalurina.
Oh my God. Also, another thing, even though she wasn't in there for very long, I really enjoyed Taylor Swift's performance in that movie. Is that weird?
No, I think she was one of the better ones.
I agree.
As the movie went on, I felt like the songs got better. Like Grisabella's songs were really good. Like you felt the emotion behind it.
Emotion,
just because Jennifer Hudson is a phenomenal singer.
Okay.
But Taylor Swift and some of the later pieces I felt had more, I don't know, art direction emphasis behind them. But yes, Taylor Swift did a fantastic job.
I wish Lady Gaga was in this film.
No, you don't. Don't you ever say that again.
Wow, even on Cats.
Don't you ever say that again.
Even on Cats, you wouldn't want Lady Gaga.
Don't you ever say. I'm already conflicted with her being in Joker 2. like I don't know, Jake. I don't know if I would have watched this if Lady Gaga was in it.
You would just been flat out, no.
Yeah, I would have been like, you guys, this is your episode because I didn't watch it because Lady Gaga was in it. I mean, I might have tried, but anyway, that's a whole other thing.
We're gonna have to get into that at some point.
I don't even. Anyway, sorry. Sorry. Don't you ever say that again, Zach.
We will in the Joker Another Joker episode, I'm sure.
We're gonna have the Joker episode again.
What do you guys think of the? I think you said kind of briefly, Jake, about your thoughts about the gal who played Victoria, the white cat. I thought she was great.
Francesca Hayward.
Francesca Hayward,
I did
yeah.
too.
I think you guys said she felt the most human or most relatable, perhaps. Like she was like the only character really that I felt anything for, even though it can out of the blue. Grisabella, she wins, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
that came out of left field. I thought that we were rooting for Victoria, but I guess she was just used as like a tool for a POV for what the rest of everyone else is going through as far as their stories. I guess it just started with Victoria,
yeah,
and then it goes to through all these other various stories of these other cats and what their problems are. Grisabella ends up getting the golden ticket to heaven and beyond, and then Victoria does kind of have that little nice conversation with Judi Dench's cat, the mama cat, essentially, and that she views her as she thinks of her as part of the tribe or something. So she has a redeeming, like, this is why you should care at the end of the day. You do get to fit in with us all.
Yeah. I guess her whole thing was she kind of was, when Mortal Kombat came out, the movie, I watched an interview with the director saying, he created a new character because the games create a new character. And it's also, someone that is going through all this stuff, this Mortal Kombat stuff with us, the audience. So I think that's kind of her job too, was, she's a new cat. Now she's got to be introduced to all these other cats. And so do we, it's like, instead of us going through it alone, we have this cat that can kind of go through it with us. That's kind of what her job seemed like to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And I thought she was one of the better actors in it too. Like, I mean, besides, you have three wonderful actors: Sir Ian McKellen, Dame Judi Dench, and freaking Idris Elba. Like, great actors. But I don't know. They weren't with characters. They have to have some sort of growth and all that for us to care about them. And they didn't. They were the same. All three of them were the same throughout the whole movie. This cat, she came in as a stray, and then she left as part of the family, if you will. And then Jennifer Hudson's character, I didn't give a crap about her character. I don't know. Like, I didn't understand what was going on. Like, they're like, she's like, you've been chosen, and then she flies off into the sky, and I'm like, what the crap? It's like Grease, It's like at the end of Grease when Danny Zuko and Sandy fly off into the sunset in a car. It's like, what's going on?
What was the decision making before choosing Grisabella as the winner?
I feel like she was just she was the more of a stray cat than that Victoria was. It seemed like you're saying there's no homeless people. Well, she is the homeless people. Or at least that's what the vibe I got.
An outcast.
My understanding is she was one of the Jellicle cats, and then she did something, like she fell in with McCavity or did something, and she was like ostracized from the other cats.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And
that was my understanding.
It took Victoria to go, hey, she's good now, or whatever.
Was that the only time they interacted? I felt like that was like the only time we saw them really have a little conversation.
They interacted a few times.
Maybe
not a conversation.
Some of the side cats hissed at her.
Yeah.
I want to know the backstory of Grisabella. We need a sequel.
Well, we need an origin. Yeah, we need an origin film. Of her.
Idris's
just call the movie
change.
Call the movie Cat.
One cat.
Just one.
What did you think about the villain of this? I like Idris Elba in all the movies and shows he's been in, but I thought he did what he could with
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
a cavity.
He did the best with what he had.
Some of the stuff that made him, like, every time he disappeared, like meow. Like, disappear.
It's like on have you guys seen What We Do in the Shadows? Oh, I know you have, Jake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whenever Laszlo turns into a bat, every time he goes bat, and then he turns to a bat and flies away. Bat,
like Shazam or
that's
something.
Just like Elba like yelling
Shazam.
meow. Whenever he like yells meow and disappears, that's the equivalent of just like someone just running out into the street and just screaming, just like and then disappear. because that sounds
Well,
cat.
he also said effable. Effable
Like
was one of his
ineffable.
words where he,
Ineffable.
ineffable when he disappeared, and then the last when he landed on top of that statue and he tried it again, it didn't work after that.
And I don't know
So
why that didn't work.
Yeah, he just got his powers taken from him apparently.
Lame.
Just like super random, but what are you gonna
Plot
do?
convenience.
You know?
Or maybe it was daytime.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe they only get their powers at night because cats.
Oh
are
yeah,
nocturnal.
maybe that's true because it was daytime.
There's
wish
just so
I
many
didn't think about that.
questions.
I wish that McCavity there wasn't that building to save him, and he just dealt to his death. I thought that was going to happen, but I realized this is PG. There has to be some soft landing for him.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a happy.
No, actually, cats can survive pretty high falls. I've seen it.
Yeah. So I really don't have any other questions beyond. I mean, I have loads of questions, but we'd be here all night, and I don't want to drag you through that.
It's an experience. This movie.
I have to say, yeah, this movie is an experience. That's for sure. And I just sat there while it happened to me.
That's kind of how it feels, man.
That was for The Office. But I have to say, because of this movie, and I think with bad movies, like this is going to be how it goes with us. Is it brings out really good conversation, I believe, because it's such a bad movie where you have a lot to talk about. With good movies, yeah, we have a lot to talk about, but it's not as like lively, So I mean, in that sense, for the podcast, it did its job. We were able to talk about it. But man, I will tell you, unless like I am trying to nail somebody, I am not watching Cats again. I was trying to think of like a good way to say it. But,
She's a 10, but she loves cats.
But she loves cats. It's like I was watching Family Guy, and there's an episode where Lois drags Peter to the ballet, and then he finds out that Quagmire's there. He calls Quagmire, and he's like, Lois made me go to this stupid ballet. He's like, oh, are you serious? I'm here too. And he's like, it's like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, this girl I'm trying to nail drag me here. And that's kind of the way with cats. It's like, unless it's the play, like if somebody like Jake or Zack, like when it comes to the movie, like unless I'm trying to get something out of it, that's the only way I'll watch it. But if one of you guys were like, hey, I have tickets to see Cats, I'll be like, okay, let's go at least once. The Broadway play, it's been around for so long. It's like you got to see it at least once if you have the opportunity.
And one of the benefits of seeing this movie, I guess, is that it makes me curious to see the musical live action.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I'm ready for the sequel, the Cats 2.
Cats.
Own lore and everything, since I don't think there's a actual second musical stage production of Cats. Andrew Lloyd Webber better get on it here.
All right. So I guess to close all this out, final thoughts. Do you guys think there was a purpose to this movie? Should it have been made? Could it have been made better?
No.
What would you have done different?
I wouldn't have made this movie. That's what I would have done different. Like there was no point in a movie for this play. Like the play was doing just fine on its own. It's been running for a very long time. And so there's no reason for the movie. I would have just said, hey, we want to make Cats the movie. No, we don't need to spend that money for this movie.
What makes the play work? Like, why does it work? Why has the play been here so long, but the movie shouldn't be made?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I got to see this actual play first.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think of is that it works on stage because we accept the aesthetics of the stage. We accept, the dialogue of the stage, the music of like anything on stage. I mean, I've seen a play without singing, but not very much, like it's mostly been musicals. So we accept all that. But in movies, we want something a little different, this isn't
more
the 90s.
Substance.
Yeah. Or
story.
Yeah. The story was very, 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 very surface level stuff, nothing really deep about it.
If let's say they rebooted Cats and they made it in such a way that it wasn't a musical, but let's say instead of all the cats singing and dancing and stuff, we actually put a cat and we put them in situations that they were singing about. So like little vignettes of this cat goes with Christopher Jones as she learns about gluttony, or Jennifer Hudson and the Alley Cats, or Jason Derulo and like the follies of being finicky, things like that. And it's like an action, like little vignettes of action instead of just songs. The show don't tell. Would that make the movie better?
Yes, I agree, because I want to see,
Sure.
I want to be able to care for these characters, but I really don't, except Victoria's out of left field decision to choose Grisabella as the winner. I was like, okay, whatever, have fun.
Yes.
But then again, you wouldn't be able to please everyone if they reduced a lot of the singing and everything. It just wouldn't be Cats. It would be something else.
People.
A stripped down version of Cats. It wouldn't be the play. But it certainly wasn't like the worst movie I've seen in the world. But I think because the visuals saved it for me to a degree, even though I guess there were CGI issues in the early days of it being released. I've never seen I don't remember the poor CGI it looked like, but it wasn't like too off-putting for me at the end of the day. I thought it was still pretty cool to look at, but again, I want more substance in a story. I don't want just a montage of singing without some type of narrative to make me want to continue watching. But I watched it all in one sitting.
I'm torn on it, as I've said before, because on the one hand, like I agree with both of you wholeheartedly. This shouldn't have been made.
Weird.
And yet I somehow love that it has been. And I will probably sneakily buy a DVD at some point and force my family to watch it like once a year or something like that, just to troll them.
Get their reaction.
That was the whole reason I saw it in the first place, because I knew it was going to be a bad movie. And I basically was just enjoying dragging my wife and my friend Sam to the movie with me. And we sat like on the first 10 rows. We were like right up next to the screen. And I just enjoyed their discomfort, honestly. And then I was just
surprised.
And then I experienced it myself and was kind of like wrapped into it.
Did you see anyone walk out of your theater? Do you recall during the movie?
Our theater was almost packed. There was lots of people in the theater.
But every movie I've seen lately, there's been at least one person that leaves, and I notice never comes back.
It walks out. I didn't notice anyone walking out, but we were somewhat close to the screen.
Okay.
When we got in there, like the whole middle section was full, and we could either sit way far in the very back or somewhat close. And so we sat somewhat close to the screen, and I was enraptured. I didn't see anything besides these weird cats.
Big cats too in your situation, because you're watching it on a movie theater. It was the last movie I went and saw. It was me and one other person, and he didn't walk out. The only time someone did something in a movie that I was and missed it, me and my friend went to see Jumper with Hayden Christensen and Samuel Jackson, and he fell asleep at the beginning of the movie, and he woke up at the end of the movie. And then we left. And then a while later, it was on TV and we watched it. And he goes, "Man, that was a pretty good movie." And I said, "Yeah, dude, we went to see that movie in theaters together and you slept through the whole thing." And he's like, "Did I?" I was like, "Yeah." So that's the only time I like witnessed somebody not leaving, but not seeing the movie they paid to go see.
Yeah, that's why I never eat like a big meal before going to the movies, because eating a lot or any amount really just makes me tired.
Yeah. I don't really eat the snacks and stuff while I'm there. Usually what I do is I sneak something in.
You bring a notebook and pen and paper.
I am one of those people, proudly.
I used to do that.
I'm going to pay $5 for a box of M&Ms. Jesus, no.
I will support the movie theaters, man. I buy the 10 buckets.
Oh, aren't you special? All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast.
Cats.
Cats.
Cats too. Have you watched Cats? What did you think? Tell us somewhere on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Those are all social media pages that we own. Tell us what you thought. What would you have changed? Was it weird? Why was Idris Elba naked? Come up with your answers. But thank you so much for listening. From myself, from Zack, and Justin. We will see you in the next podcast. Have a fantastic day.